Okay, so let's talk about AI writing tools. If you write anything these days, emails, essays, reports, you name it, you've probably wondered, do these things actually work? I mean, are they making us better writers, or are they just a shortcut? Well, today, we're going to dig into the actual research to find out what the evidence says.
You know the feeling, right? Just staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page. It's intimidating. And that feeling is even more intense if you're trying to write in a language that isn't your native tongue. It's a universal frustration, for sure.
And for language learners, this isn't just a feeling. The research shows a really consistent pattern of hurdles. You've got things like getting verb tenses right, using articles like and the correctly. Even basic sentence construction can be a real challenge that gets in the way of clear communication.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with that blank page problem. Then, we'll meet the AI assistants designed to solve it. After that, we'll dive into the hard data to see if they actually work, hear from the students themselves, and finally, figure out how we can use these things as a helpful tool and not a crutch.
All right, first up, let's talk more about that blank page problem. Because for language learners, especially in academic writing, the struggle is very, very real.
See, it's not just about translating words from one language to another. It's about learning a whole new set of unspoken rules, the specific structure, the formal tone, all the conventions of academic work. It's kind of like learning a second new language on top of the one you're already studying.
And this is exactly where this new wave of technology comes into the picture, promising to be a kind of partner in this whole difficult process.
We're talking about AI writing assistants. You've probably heard of them, tools like Grammarly, ChatGPT, or WordTune. Basically, they use artificial intelligence to look at your text as you write, and they give you feedback, suggestions, and sometimes even completely new ideas.
And this is a perfect example of what these tools do. Right here, you can see WordTune taking a simple phrase, and boom, it gives you a bunch of different ways to say the same thing. Maybe you want it to sound more formal, or shorter, or just different. It's like having a dynamic writing partner right there with you.
So, these tools look pretty slick in a demo. But here's the real question. Do they actually make a difference in the real world? Let's take a look at the data, because the answer is surprisingly clear.
Researchers have put these tools to the test, setting up experiments comparing students who use them against groups who don't. And honestly, the difference in performance is pretty staggering.
Okay, check this out. This number is pretty wild. In one study, students using Grammarly saw their writing scores shoot up by an average of almost 20 points. Now get this, the group that didn't use the tool, their scores went up by less than half a point. I mean, that's not just a small difference, that is a massive improvement. And it's not a fluke. Here's another study, this time looking at WordTune, and it found the exact same pattern. The students who used the AI assistant scored significantly higher on their final writing assignments. The evidence keeps pointing in the same direction. So the takeaway from the data is really clear and consistent. It doesn't matter which study or which tool you look at, the conclusion is pretty much the same. These AI assistants provide a real, measurable, statistically significant boost to writing quality. The numbers don't lie.
But higher scores are one thing. That's only half the story. What does it actually feel like for students to use these tools every day? Let's go beyond the numbers and explore that.
So, yeah, the numbers show a clear win, no doubt about it. But when you actually ask students how they feel about using these tools, well, the answer gets a whole lot more complicated.
When you survey students, it's like a two-sided coin. On one side, they absolutely love the benefits. Their writing becomes more fluent, it helps them brainstorm, and it's a huge time saver. But on the other side, they have some very real concerns about things like academic integrity, becoming too dependent on the tool, and sometimes just getting flat-out bad advice from the AI. And we can get even more specific. In one study looking at ChatGPT, almost half of the students who used it said they struggled with two main things. First, trying to figure out which AI suggestions were good and which were bad. And second, trying to make sure their own personal voice and originality didn't get lost in the process. But even with those challenges, students are finding incredible value in very specific features. In that WordTune study, for instance, students pointed to things like the ability to paraphrase, to quickly adjust the tone to be more formal, or to easily shorten or expand sentences as total game changers. It gave them more confidence and control.
So all of this brings us to our final, and maybe the most important question. How do we get all the good stuff from these powerful tools without losing the essential human skills of thinking and writing for ourselves? It's all about finding that balance.
And across all the research we looked at, there is one clear, resounding message.
These tools are best thought of as assistants. They're powerful co-pilots for sure, but they are not, and they really shouldn't be, the actual pilot. Your brain is still in charge.
So, how do you do it? How do you use these tools smartly? Well, the research points to 3 key steps. First, really get to know the tool you're using. Play with it, see where it shines and where it fails. Second, use it to enhance your skills, not replace them. Learn from the suggestions. And third, always maintain your integrity. Use it as a writing partner, not a ghostwriter. This quote from one of the studies really just sums it all up perfectly. The goal is to use these AI tools to gain new insights, to learn, and to become a better writer yourself, not just to outsource the hard work of thinking.
And that really leaves us with a final critical question for the future. As the AI gets smarter, and trust me, it's going to get a lot smarter, how do we make sure that we, the human writers, are getting smarter right along with it? Something to think about.